Abu Amin.
I heard something online. Now, looking at something, basically some critics to Salafiyah who claim that essentially Salafis have now split into many different sects, at least 7, and that basically they don't even agree in Aqeedah. Is this correct? And if so, is it based on something within Islam that they differ in Aqeedah?
Question says, I read something from online with regards to some critics of, this is the questioner, these aren't my words, some critics of Salafiyah or Salafis regarding that the Salafis have split up into groups and sects and schisms and a different Aqeedah. Is this correct, etc.? There is an issue that pertains to the sciences of hadith. And this issue is mas'alatu riwayat al-hadithi bil-ma'na. Is it permissible? Is it impermissible? Is it disliked? Is it okay to narrate a hadith verbatim and not actually word for word? Is it permissible to mention a hadith with a general meaning? For example, inside Bukhari, let's say it says, al-amalu bin-niyyah. Is it permissible for me to say, innama al-amalu bin-niyyat? Or do I have to say the specific word of the Messenger of Allah, al-amalu bin-niyyah? That's an example. Or can I change it up with the condition that I don't distort the meaning? That I don't what? Distort the meaning. The meaning is sound. These are based off of intentions. These are only based off of intentions. These are with the intentions. It's one meaning. Or do I have to stick to the actual what? Specific wording, like reciting the Quran. You can't mix it up. You have to recite exactly what is in the Quran. Hadith is different. And the ulama are different on that issue. The scholars will say that it is permissible to do that. You can narrate a hadith like that. They say that min adillatihi kawnuhu qad waqa'a. They said the proof that it's permissible is that it happened. And the Sahaba themselves and the Tabi'in themselves, they did what? They narrated hadiths and it wasn't word for word. They say this is one of the strongest proofs that it's what? Permissible. The fact that it has happened. And it happened for a very long time. So that's the proof in itself. Forget the other things. Allah told us about Ad and Thamud and Fir'aun and Musa, and He told us in Arabic. All those different proofs. Forget all that. The fact that it is what? Happened. And hadith that they use, نَضْرَ اللَّهُ إِمْرَأً سَمِعَ مَقَالَتِي فَوَعَاهَا. May Allah brighten the face of a man who hears what I say, memorizes it perfectly, and passes it on. They say that hadith itself was passed on by what? Verbatim. So they say that it's permissible as long as one does not distort the text. So with regards to your question, is this valid criticism or not? We say the proof that it's valid criticism is what? Is that it's what? It has happened. And no one, no matter how pious or righteous, can deny the reality that people who say that they are Salafi have split up into different groups. Once I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, about 4 years ago, we were in a mall, going to make Salat al-Maghrib. We're walking up the steps. The brother, he walked up to me, he started speaking to me in Arabic. I didn't see this guy a day in my life. I didn't know who he was. He says, Ya akhi. He says, which Salafiyya are you with? He says, هل أنت مع السلفية الجهادية ولا السلفية السرورية ولا سلفية الشيخ فلان وكذا وكذا. He asked me, 3 or 4 different brands of Salafi. He says, which one are you which? So I looked at him. I'm in Minnesota and I'm like, كيف حالك يا أخي? Alhamdulillah. And I darted up the steps to the musalla. I don't know who you are. I don't know what type of recording device you're wearing. I don't want to say anything to you in a mall of hundreds of brothers about this Salafiyya, Jihadiyya, so on and so forth. Against the rulers, with the rulers. I'm not talking about that. The point is that he wanted to know which type of Salafi am I? So the proof of what this person is saying is that it is actually what? It's happened. And no one can deny the reality. If you go on YouTube, or Google, or any website, you'll find 10 websites, you may find 10 different versions of Salafi. Here in New York City, we're Salafi, they're not. This person, this term, they're with this sheikh, they're with another sheikh, he was with us, he branched off, he fell off, he's refuted, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Everyone understand this? So no one can deny a reality of life. It's happened, unfortunately. How has it happened? Why has it happened? What's the ruling on these different groups that all call themselves Salafi? The point is that it has what? Happened. And from the most early exponents of Adawat Salafiyah, and that's a discussion in itself, because back in the day it was never Salafiyah, or at least not what I remember. It was always Adawat Salafiyah. Many years ago when I was much younger, all the t-shirts and the hoodies and the hats said Adawat Salafiyah. And everyone said Dawah Salafiyah, Salafi Dawah. You remember this? Or you maybe too young. It was never what? Salafi. It was always Salafi Dawah. And then some years went by, this sheikh died, this one died, he got refuted, this one rose to prominence, and then it just became what? Salafiyah. And never ever, or very seldom, will you hear them say Salafi Dawah. But it's just what? Salafi. As if Salafi is a what now? A grade higher than what? Salafi Dawah. From the early exponents of this, we all know Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. He propagated this, he supported this, he defended this. And what was the rationale of Shaykh Al-Albani to call yourself Salafi? There were others. We said from, not the only. What was his rationale? Is it correct to call yourself Salafi? Do you have to? That's not, we're not discussing that. That's not on the table of discussion. I'm just trying to prove a point here. One of the reasons why he said that you have to call yourself Salafi, or you can call yourself Salafi, is for a distinction. It's for the different groups and the different calls and dawahs and practices to be distinctly known. That we call ourselves the orthodox practice, pure and organic. That's the purpose of putting organic on what? On a label. To know that it's not GMO, insecticides, pesticides, etc. Everybody clear on this or not? So the most ironic and mind-boggling thing is that the original purpose of that one Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah, today is now what? What is his purpose now today? What is it? Who knows the answer? His purpose is now what? It has become what? Totally useless. There's no more distinction. Because among those who say they're Salafis, they're what? 7 or 8 different groups. And all of them say this. And that's why they use different terms. Salafi, wadih. When I was in Medina in 2002, Salafi, wadih. That was the word they were using. Clear, Salafi. And then when that sheikh, when he got refuted and thrown off the bus and thrown over the boat into the river, tied to a bag of cinder blocks, to drown at the bottom, they stopped using the term wadih. Wallahi al-azim. Everybody understand this? And then they come with a new word, a new fancy term. Nowadays they're using a fancy word, an exotic word that the average person doesn't even know what it means in Arabic, let alone in English. Everybody understand this? So the original purpose of Shaykh Al-Albani using the term has now become totally void. And this is what we said in Philadelphia a couple weeks back, is that you attack people and you say that they are disrespecting the scholars and talking about the scholars. You say, no, you have disrespected the scholars. And you have caused the people to lose trust and respect for the scholars. You yourselves, even though you don't really realize it. So Al-Albani rahimahullah, his whole argument, the guy said, I'm Muslim upon Quran, Sunnah, and understanding of the Salaf. Shaykh Al-Albani says, why not just sum it up and say what? Salafi. Make it easy for yourself. The people, that term, what value does it have today? You get on the news, they say, Osama bin Laden Salafi. You go on a website, it says, this sheikh is Salafi. You go on this website, it says, the brother is what? Salafi. This one that was refuted, he still calls himself what? Salafi. What distinction is there based off of what you have done? So this is a reality. You understand this? This is a what? No one can deny the reality of this. That this, unfortunately, this has happened. The people have split up into small, tiny groups. As far as Salafi is different in Aqeedah, that's a very long discussion. And unfortunately, many brothers, they've abused that as well. Taking different statements of different scholars. The Salaf never differed in Aqeedah. لم يختلف السلف في هذا. أجمع السلف على هذا. أجمع أهل السنة على هذا. And they've abused those terms. There are many issues, without question, whether it's Aqeedah or other than Aqeedah, in which the pious predecessors unanimously agreed. No doubt about that. And there are other issues in which it's clearly proven the Salaf themselves what? They differed. Whether it's in Aqeedah or other than Aqeedah. And whether it's from the foundations of the Aqeedah, the core issues, or the furu'at, the branches, it doesn't matter. Whether it's from the core or the branch, it's all a part of one what? Thing. This is a tree. The leaf, the berry, the twig, the branch, the root, the bark, the wood, all of it is called what? A tree, oak tree. Everyone understand this or not? It doesn't matter what part it is, but it's all what? It's all a part of the tree. So regardless whether what type of Aqeedah issue it is, if they agreed on it, alhamdulillah. But if we find Mujahid saying this and Aisha saying that, and Ibn Umar used to do this, then you can't say in this issue that the Salaf Salih did what? Agreed. Everyone understand this? Next point is, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, if my bad memory serves me correctly, he was quoted to have said, and this is many years ago I read this statement, that what's meant by al-usul is not just Aqeedah. What's meant by usul ma ajma alayhi salaf is what the Salaf agreed upon. Even if it's an issue of salat or hajj or this or that, what they agreed upon, and which a person cannot come with his own ijtihad. Al-masail allati tudallalu or yudallalu fiha al-mukhalif. The one who's going against it is now called what? You're astray now. It's not the same as the issue in which there's room for ijtihad. Or even if there's no room, but there was what? There was khilaf. Everybody understand this or not? Last but not least, I would humbly say, the people who made an uproar against certain students of knowledge who said that the companions even differed in Aqeedah, I don't think they made an uproar based off of ghayratan ala din. They were jealous for the religion and its mistake and its misguidance. I don't think so. And I could be wrong. There's not a hadith or a fatwa. I'm telling you what I feel. I feel that they made such a great uproar because it was opening up the door for their followers to think and their followers to be affected and for them to have less control and a looser noose around the people's neck or the people's necks. I.e., if you're refuting me and hollering at me and screaming at me and boycotting me and abandoning me because of this issue of mihrab, or the minbar has more than 3 steps, or my pants are beneath my ankles, or whatever the case may be, one says, Akhi, subhanAllah, the Sahaba differed on Aqeedah, not this position on what? What's greater? What's more dangerous now? Mihrab or what? Aqeedah. So the brother's saying, like, to do what? Relax. I'm still a Muslim. Don't beat me upside the head with a club over this issue and that issue, because there were greater issues over which the companions themselves, who directly studied what the Prophet, differed on. So who are we to fight over this issue, or who are you to declare me to be innovator over that issue? I think that's what the brother meant when he said that statement. I didn't make that statement. So I'm not responsible for that statement. But that's what I feel he meant by that. And that's what I think the usage of it was. And that's what I feel and think that's why they made such an uproar. You can't get the people to understand this now. If the companions different on Aqeedah, then who are we to say is a mubtadi' because the minbar has a 4th minbar? The 4th step. The minbar has a 4th step. What is the brother? He said, he's not Salafi because he takes money for classes. That's not proof that he's not Salafi. And he's from Ahlul Bid'ah and he's going to the fire of hell. One says, how can you say that when the companions different on Aqeedah? And they didn't disrespect each other, and the tabi'een didn't disrespect them, and the ulama took those different views. So we have to have, we got to be realistic, guys. Fake piety and act like we don't know, it's not going to work. Let's keep it real. The more ignorant you are, and the more I can control you, the more power it gives me. The more influence I have over you. And the moment somebody goes against our agenda, without no shyness, a scholar that came to the UK, that went to Birmingham, that went to London, Allama, is now a shaitan, dal, mudil. He's worse than the Jews and the Christians because he went against our agenda. They have no respect for scholars. It's a lie. They don't respect any scholars. They only respect those who suit their agenda and who empower them. They only respect those scholars that give them the tazkiyah to be in control of the people. Everyone understand this? So this is the bottom line. I want you to be dumb and stupid. I want you to be brainwashed. I want you to only take from me and nobody else. Only take from the people that we all see eye to eye and everything. Only us. And I'm going to disguise it. I'm going to perfume it. I want to paint it. I want to give it a different image, a different outward appearance to make it seem like something. But the core issue is this. The dumber you are, the more I can control you. The more I control you, the more money in my pocket. The bigger my house, the faster my car, the more beautiful the woman I can marry, and the better it makes me feel, even though I never even studied overseas. I was an English teacher. I dropped out of school. I didn't even graduate. I was never formally trained. I haven't memorized the Quran. My Arabic is poor. But I'm the head student of knowledge in the whole West. What type of ridicule is this? Do you know how big the West is? The British Isles, the island, Great Britain, UK, London, whatever you call it, is only a small, tiny section of the what? Of the what? Of the West. The West includes what? Canada, North America, Central America, South America, Mexico, the Caribbean, Australia, South Africa, maybe one may say Madagascar, the entire European continent, Russia, Italy, Germany, Sweden, all of that is considered what? The West. So are you telling me that this one person who barely studied, who can barely speak Arabic, who's a laughing stock, is the representative of the entire West? You gotta be joking, man. You can't be serious. But the one who studied overseas, formally trained, formally educated, the one who's never been accused of scandal, of being alone with this woman, or being alone with this one, or taking this money, or doing this or doing that, he's totally useless. Don't take anything from him. You gotta be joking me. You gotta be kidding me. And the reason is because there's a master and servant relationship. This person, you endorse me there, make me famous, spread my legacy, and I'll endorse you from over here, even though you don't have the qualifications for your position. But me and my popularity and my influence, if I just say your name, that's good enough. As it states in the hadith, that when I praise someone, it's automatic good for them, and when I dispraise someone, it's automatically bad for them. In the madhi zayn, within me shame. The Prophet ﷺ says, "That Allah." He says, that's only for Allah. This is a reality. But if you actually look at the critical facts, what qualifies you for this position? What formal hardcore study do you have? Except for Sheikh Fulan. He endorses you. Why does Sheikh Fulan endorse you? Sheikh Fulan is a doctor. It's a PhD. You have nothing. Why would he even say you're the best person qualified to teach the people in the whole West? Something is wrong. Unless there's something deeper than that. You push me, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And I have to control people. I have to be in charge. I need to be in charge. Why is the most ignorant person in charge of everybody? And the brothers who actually studied and graduated, they're always beneath the ignoramus that studied for a couple of years. Something is seriously wrong, guys. And it's been seriously wrong for many, many, many years. So that's my opinion on that issue. And Allah surely knows best. There are many principles and statements and proofs and evidences they don't want to get out. They don't want to let out to the people. Because once they're let out, the people are no longer their slaves. And if you want to have a slave, it's not about beating them and whipping them and hanging them. It's about what? Controlling their minds. A slave mentally. Enslave them mentally and their body is simple and easy. The Lynch syndrome. This is part of American history. And that's why slaves weren't allowed to do what? Read or write. Because he may just pick up a book. He may just find something. He may know how to read and I don't know how to read. And I can't have that. So if you want a slave, keep them dumb and ignorant. And the easiest way of keeping someone dumb and ignorant is monopolizing and limiting their sources. Even though there's some knowledge in the circle, but it's what? Extremely limited. The translations, the scholars you can listen to, the people you can listen to, extremely limited. Let alone cutting, trimming, adding things, putting things that don't belong in, taking things out, and keeping secret. And anyone who's willing to speak out against them and put out this secret and mention this hadith and quote this fatwa and this other scholar, this other position, like you've seen us do, he's automatically what? Has to be. He's a mubtadi', he's a hizbi, he's evil, he doesn't know the scholars, he's kada, he thinks he's a scholar. And so he thinks he's a scholar. He's answering questions by himself. A'udhu billah, what is this? Because they don't want people to go against their agenda. Yes, Sheikh, in America, we have a question. What is your view? Yes, Sheikh, what's the ruling on making wudu after you use the bathroom? That's what they want. You can't get no information from a scholar unless it comes from what? My translation. You're my slave. I control you. It's dangerous. May Allah help us and protect us all. We will stop here with this question. Anything that I said which is good is from Allah. And if I said anything which is bad is from myself and it's from the shaitan. And the last disclaimer, last but not least, anything that I've quoted of my personal opinions and my personal views, or my personal opinions and my what? Personal views. And that's what they are. You don't have to agree to them, respect them, you don't have to, not best. But they're what? My views that I'm basing off of what I feel is correct. If I'm wrong, may Allah forgive me. And if I'm right, Allah knows best.